If you're going through something, guys, you're going through it because you can handle it, and it's supposed to happen to teach you, to help you do something. It's part of your journey. So we can change our perception to it. We can't change it, but we can change how we see it, which will make it a lot easier. Because you have to remember, your conscious, your higher self, all of this is just happening. It's nothing. Because we have human bodies, we have emotions, and we have pain cells, we have pain receptors. So it may hurt us, it may feel us, but in the grand scheme of things, all of this is just happening. It can't hurt who you truly are. Yeah, it'll hurt your body and the mind, but your spirit or who you are lives on forever and ever. That's one of the biggest things that I learned there too. Stay positive on everything, or attempt to stay positive on everything. Or if you can't change it, change how you look at it. Change how you surround it. That's what you have to do. Because the truth of the matter is, there's so many people out there that say, yeah. I manifested in 1 week or 2 weeks. If it manifests in 1 week or 2 weeks, you didn't do that. It was already planned by your authentic self. Oh, it's gonna come next week. It comes 2 months, 2 years. It's gonna come when it's supposed to come. So your job, my job, is just to relax, project, expect, let go. That's all we can do. I mean, if you think about it, it's easier that way. It shows that there's a higher intelligence in charge of us and guiding us. And all we have to do is just listen to the signs, follow our intuition, follow our authentic self. But that's where the challenge comes in, because we have a mind, we have an ego, man, and it was programmed, and it's programmed with a lot of resistance. It's programmed with a lot of pride. It's programmed with a lot of certainty. It's programmed with a lot of control, man. And it's just like telling someone, hey, you don't have the control no more. It goes crazy. And that's the struggle we face. We face with the struggle to understand that I am not the mind. But once you understand these teachings, and you're understanding that there is no self in the brain, and that the ego is a perception, it's made up through evolution, and you understand that you are the awareness and the higher self, it'll make it easier for you to change and to disassociate from the mind. You're not going to leave the mind. You can't leave the mind, but you can disassociate the mind. You know the mind is there, but you're not paying it any attention. That's what I mean. You know, your brain has a good way of what we call masking or blocking things out. The brain involved is very smart. For example, when we have traumatic stuff, your brain actually blocks it out and buries it deep in your subconscious mind, so to protect you, because it was traumatic. So the brain always creates new neural pathways. Every time you use your imagination over and over, you're creating what's called a neural pathway to the brain. A neural pathway is these, I don't know if you ever see that video where you see the brain cells talking to each other, the two synapses, they're finding they connect. You're doing that every time. So that's why it's so important that we have to be mindful of what we're constantly thinking about. Because what we constantly think about, we're creating neural pathways. And once these neural pathways fuse, we're going to start to see, like, we're going to see a lot of what you call, what's the best way? You're going to see a lot of evidence, like, oh my goodness, look at all this stuff happening to me. What's going on? I didn't want this. Well, because you synaptically pruned it. Now look, relax. It's not going to happen overnight. So people are like, oh my God, I've been thinking about this negative thought for the past week. It's going to happen. No. This can take months or years, but you have to be all the time. So relax. So you're not, unless you're doing this 24/7 for 2-3 years, or 24/7 for 6 months, then you might get it. But the point is, the brain is adaptable, and it's looking to create new path of reality for you. See how is the protection when the subconscious? How is that? Okay, someone says, how is that protection when the subconscious is what projects the reality? Okay, the thing you understand about your subconscious is your subconscious is also being guided from your authentic self. Your subconscious is not on its own. Your subconscious has a boss. It's your higher self. So that's why it's protection. Everything that comes into your subconscious has to come by way of your authentic self. Your authentic self have to give your subconscious permission to bring that stuff in. The only thing that your authentic self leaves for your subconscious to do on its own is the following: heart rate, metabolic state, breathing, digestion, all the bodily fluids. That's what the subconscious main job is to do. Your higher self does not mess with that. That's autonomous. But when it comes to intention, creation, your authentic self has a say. It tells your subconscious when to manifest that for Mark, how to manifest that's for Jessica, for Sarah, for John, for Peter. Your higher self has authority over that. So your higher self is always looking for your best interest. That's called the protection. The only thing that your subconscious do automatically is cellular repair, sleep. Even when you're dreaming, it's coming from your higher self. Hopefully that clears that up. Someone else says, now isn't the subconscious what creates reality? So why should we leave our trauma there? Now notice I said it buries the trauma now. So yes, our subconscious creates reality. So whenever something happens, that's the what we call it, the fight or flight system of our body. The lymphatic system. The mind wants to protect us, so what it does, it filters stuff into the subconscious. So when it goes into the subconscious buries it deep down as a protection. Now here's the thing about this now. It's just a temporary thing. Memories buried alive never die. So that means your trauma, even as bad as it was, your mind and the brain is doing its best to make you not experience that. But what happens is the brain isn't perfect, so that trauma will show up as something else. Let's say you had a trauma when you were a kid that you were being bullied or something like that, or you've been picked on. What happens now, your subconscious mind, your brain will bury that, and then you for some reason as you grow up, it doesn't affect you as hard anymore, but it will show up in another area of your life. In your relationship, you'll get a lot of toxic stuff. Like, why am I attracting toxic stuff? You would never associate I'm attracting toxic stuff. Excuse me. I'm attracting toxic stuff because of when I was bullied as a kid. So when you put something in, it's going to come from another way. So the key is you have to do a full subconscious cleanse. And what is a full subconscious cleanse? A full subconscious cleanse is when you go into the subconscious and just clear everything that says you don't deserve it. It's changing what's called limiting beliefs. So that's the brain doing it. Your higher self is not going to come in and change your trauma for you. It's not going to do that, because that's the part of the brain's function. Remember, your higher self is looking for your highest good overall. It knows that you can find and become aware of that. Your higher self's job is to guide you into the higher consciousness, for your purpose, to get you on a course, to help you to create, to have the life you want. All that stuff is you doing that. So it's your 3D self that has to be responsible for that. Should I be looking through my own eyes when you visualize? Doesn't matter. You can look first person or third person. You go in your own eyes. Some people can visualize as first, some people can visualize third. It depends. Just depends. When you meditate, do you just focus on the brain and let your mind wander? When you meditate, you focus on silence and just breath and just whatever comes in. You become an observer when you meditate. You don't become an absorber. You become an observer. Wouldn't those frequencies be the makeup of the particles in our now simulation? Okay, let's talk about that here. So simulation and reality. So yeah, so what happens is, when a particle comes into existence, because it's in a what we call a three-dimensional world, it's going to create sound waves. And these sounds are what we interpret as vibration frequencies. So yes, in theory, the frequencies of vibration makes up the reality, because that's a wave. A wave is these different frequencies in sound, or sound waves. And our bodies are tuned to adapt to these sound waves. In your body, you are electrically charged. You're water and electricity, chemical, biochemical machine. And you're tuned to pick up frequencies and vibrations. And this is how the world appears to us. Everything in the world is frequency and vibration. A physical being, me, when you're looking at me, I'm vibrating so fast that you cannot detect, your eyes can't detect the gaps in my vibration. This is why I appear solid to you. But in fact, I'm just a wave. I'm particles that's vibrating tremendous. And we can prove this. You can get an electron microscope and you can go into your cells. And you can see your cells. You can go past the mitochondria, then you can go into the quantum world. You can see you can see the nucleus of your cell, the atoms of electrons. They're constantly shifting out, in and out. So it means I'm shifting in and out. But again, they're so fast. So this is how our world is made up. See how it works? The holographic universe. The holographic universe, or the simulation, it basically shows that you and I are not here. So with a let's use a hologram. A hologram has to have a surface to project on. Our world is actually two-dimensional. The real world is two-dimensional, but we've been projected as 3D beings. We know this because when we look at the curvature of space, when we look at black holes, the information in a black hole gets spun out on the surface. That's 2 dimensions. So that's how it gave us the clue that reality is really 2D and we're being projected. Now, the hologram is primarily processed by the visionary cortex. So in our brain developed the skill to see things as 3D, and it projects that through the light. So when the brain is giving you a holographic picture of your world, okay, you all know what a hologram is. A hologram is you can put your hands through it. We're not exactly like that. We're analogous to a hologram. That's why we call it holograph, because the only thing that prevents us is this repulsive force. So we are holograms. If the force were turned off, we could walk through the walls. That's why we call it holographic universe. So it shows that everything is malleable.